Hi, my name is Danny. I'm from Marco Beverage Systems Limited. I'm a specialty coffee association trainer with the company. I'm also a sales and technical director for Asia Pacific region. Today we're going to run the SP9 masterclass, and I'm going to talk a little bit key tips about using the SP9, which I have in front of me. And most important thing, let me start off by saying that as a barista, you're probably familiar with calibrations of your espresso machine and grinder early in the morning. What we need to do is that we also need to do the calibration for the SP9. We have a very specific video just focused on how you should do your calibration on SP9. And we recommend that you do the calibration in the morning and once in the afternoon, just to make sure that things are running fine. So without further ado, I'm going to talk about the two tips in general. First one is to talk about how we should use the magnetic holder on the SP9 and its function, and how to increase the consistency in your brew and your stability of your brew. The second important part I would like to talk about is the use of the time dial. A lot of people have misunderstood how the time dial is being used. And in my class later on, you will understand and fully show you and demonstrate to you that just a change in the time dial actually is rather counterintuitive. So do stay tuned. A lot of our baristas would like to normally brew the coffee like a V60, directly resting on a carafe. But with the SP9, the magnetic holder will help you achieve a higher consistency, and I would like to demonstrate to you how it's done right now. I'm going to have what we call a thermocouple to measure the temperature in the coffee bed in a while. And my brew recipe for this demonstration is 20 grams of coffee with 320 grams of water, which is a 1:16 ratio. So I'm going to do the normal thing that most baristas do, is that they pre-wet the filter paper and basically use 20 grams of coffee, which I pre-ground and prepared earlier. Set for 3 minutes, 320 grams, and a flick of the switch to start the brewing process. Now I will rest my thermocouple just on the surface of the coffee bed and register the temperature every 15 seconds. So after I've seen that I've recorded temperature, right now I'm going to start to brew the SP9, the coffee. Same recipe, same grind setting, and same coffee to water ratio, but I'm going to use the magnetic holder to hold the V60 up. So what I'll do is that I prepare another 20 grams of coffee, pre-weighed. Okay, put it in there. Now to use the magnetic holder, basically what you need to do is level this, place it on top. All right, it sits nicely, and carefully, just first of all, stick it onto the panel and adjust the filter paper right up to the top. Now, I'm going to also insert right now the thermocouple right at the surface. Just bend it down slightly and place it in there and keep it there. As you can see, the reason why we have a magnetic holder and the way I've used it is to try to minimize this gap from between the dispensing head right down to the coffee bed. And I'm going to set again 320 grams of water at 3 minutes. And similarly, I'm going to measure the temperature every 15 seconds. But after tabulating the results, you realize that from the graph, in these two setups, the one that's not using the magnetic holder tends to register a lower temperature as compared to the one with the magnetic holder. And for obvious reasons, because with the magnetic holder, you're able to place and the V60 right up to the dispensing head as close as possible to minimize air interference and ambient temperature interference, especially when you have an aircon running in the background. Not only that, it also allows you to achieve more consistency in terms of brewing your coffee because there's a better temperature stability in your coffee bed. So I highly recommend that when you go back and you use the SP9, do experiment on your own, measure the temperatures, and see that the magnetic holder, when used in such a manner, will actually allow you to achieve a consistent brew every single time. Alright, so I'm going to go into the next important tip that a lot of baristas tend to misunderstand about the use of the SP9, and that is the setting of the time dial. Okay? Now, most of the time, a lot of baristas understand that if you set the time to be longer, it will actually cause an increased extraction of coffee. I'm going to demonstrate that that is not true because the SP9 actually dispenses water in 9 pulses. All right. To demonstrate, I'm going to prepare 2 sets of coffees. All right. And each of them are 20 grams each. So first of all, I'm going to place it on the magnet holder and make sure that it's right onto the top. Same. So that I minimize the interference of the air flow around it to maintain a consistent water brewing temperature. And I've set the time for this to show the differences. One is at 2.5 minutes of brewing time. It's also 320 grams of water. And for the next one, I've set it to 3 minutes, just to show, to emphasize the change, and also at 320 grams of water. So I'm going to start both. So as it brew, I'm going to explain to you. Later on, we're going to test the TDS of the coffee to show you the differences. And I'm going to explain to you what's happening. When the SP9 dispenses water in 9 pulses, the first pulse is at 12% of its 320 grams. Subsequent pulses, the next 8 pulses will be at 11% of 320 grams of water. Because when you set the time to be longer, the temperature in the top over here actually takes the time to cool down over a period of time. So the total average temperature in the brewing bed is actually lower than the temperature in a shorter time. Alright, so I'm going to use a VST to measure the TDS for the coffee that's brewed from both carousels, from the 2.5 minutes, okay, and from the 3 minutes brew. So again, as you are familiar, we'll have a pipette, dry. Bit of coffee, just a drop will do. So interestingly, from a 3-minute brew, what I'm seeing over here is a 1.36% TDS as compared to a 2.5 minutes brew of 1.51%. So obviously, from a 3-minute brew, it registered a lower TDS, which is against what we call an intuition, when you expected the TDS to be higher from a longer brewing time. So like I explained earlier, it is because you spread the pulses over a longer time. In between the pulses of water, there is more time for the coffee bed to cool down. As a result, the overall average temperature of the brewing coffee bed here is actually lower than when it's at 2.5 minutes. So that tells you something. When you set the SP9's time dial, be aware of this particular feature of the SP9.